KMES English Medium Junior College welcome its students for the online lecture of philosophy for Standard 11. For the chapter 3rd, appearance are deceptive. For the topic, the difference between permanent and impermanence. The difference between permanence and impermanence. Students, in this lecture we are going to study the difference between permanence and impermanence. So let's see what kind of relation we have. We experience the relationship between permanence and impermanence in connection with our own existence. All of us firmly believe that we are the same person from the moment we are born up to this moment now. But we do not mean to say that we are the same the way we appear in the childhood photograph. We undergo many physical, mental, intellectual change, yet we are just sure that it is the same us that we have gone through these types of change. Even though while marking I am not the old me anymore, we want to affirm that it is the same me that has changed. We tend to believe that the change that has taken place due to several reasons is my impermanent nature and the I in relation to which the change occurs is never changing, permanent existence. But there is nothing in us that does not change, that does not come to an end. Our sentiment, wish, thought, instinct, desire change also. There is the fundamental permanence principle then. What is it called? Philosopher has called it Atma. Some philosophical systems sought to resolve the conflict of impermanence by putting forward the idea that which takes place, that birth, which dies and decay is body, and that which is not subject to birth, that which is changeless, immortal, in other words, the which is permanent is the soul. The stream of thought that rejects the notion of a constant fundamental principle, be of the idea of soul, whereas those who believe permanent along to be real decline, that body is the ultimate reality. Many streams of philosophization that emerge in Indian and Western world concern themselves with diverse pairing between real and unreal, and permanence and impermanence, and the way they can be recollected. This endeavor sheds light on this issue. What might be the number of these inconsistent, indestructible principles? What might they be like? These two interrelated questions are center of metaphysics. To give you an example, the pre-Socratic philosopher proposed that water is a fundamental element, that the world originates from water. Now it is with this one could have the same assumption that fire too is made of water. But if actually water extinguishes fire, water destroys fire, how would this be settled? One has to be carefully meditate on the nature and the properties of an element while declaring it to be any fundamental element responsible for the creation of world. The major question that arises here is how can things which are in straight contrast with the element can be formed of it. All existing things of the world are loosely categorized into living and non-living things. What category does the fundamental element fall into? Philosopher has to explain how it produces the entity of the other category, if it belongs to one of the categories. If consciousness is considered a sign of life, then those who regard the fundamental element to be matter Non-living must account for how matter creates consciousness. Those who say that the fundamental element of consciousness have to make clear how matter is formed out of consciousness. Some school of philosophy propagate that the world is made of both conscious and material fundamental elements. Some state that the world comes into existence from interaction between multiple physical elements. One more important question pertaining to this is, are the fundamental elements static or dynamic? If they are responsible for the creation of the world, then there must be some change, construction, deconstruction happening. Nothing can change without motion. Motion is prerequisite to change. A lot of time we receive the change that is caused by motion. Without perceiving motion itself, we can experience volcanic eruption or tsunami waves, but we cannot possibly realize the movement that takes place in Earth's interior movement that are responsible for this phenomena. The phenomena cannot occur without any dynamic. One more question follows. As the fundamental element is dynamic by nature, or are they accelerated by someone? Is it a quality of animal to be able to move without any outside force? Things have to be set in motion. Explanation of motion and change caused by motion is very necessary for any theory regarding the nature of the world. Philosophers who believe in this fundamental element to be dynamic proclaim that various worldly entities come into existence due to the movement, the coming together and the falling apart of an element. According to the philosopher, this movement follows the law of physics. They aren't driven by the purpose, and they create all being. The shifting shape of the clouds in the sky are the result of the movement of vapor, gust of wind, and the direction of wind. Clouds cannot consciously decide to assume the form of plumage or the flower, nor the craftsman by anyone else. There are three natures of reality given by the three theories: idealism, materialism, and realism. Idealism is being educated by Vedanta Darshana, Barclay, Lake, and Bradley, whereas materialism is educated by Charvaka Darshana, Democritus, Marxism, whereas realism is educated by Jaina, Nyaya, Vaisheshiksha, Sankhya, Mimamsa Darshana, Locke, Russell, and Montaigne. Deistic and artistic philosophy. Some philosophers believe that philosophical elements, matter, are an inherent dynamic. They have to be set into motion from the outside, and they are thus moved by an opponent, omnipotent, omniscient God. According to this line of thought, all-powerful God intends to create the world out of this fundamental element. He has an intention behind the creation of the world, which we may or we may not fortune. All things exist as long as God wishes them to exist. They cease to be when God does not want them to be. God is the creator, governor of the infinite form. Their relation to the world with each other and the order of the world. Not all streams of philosophy believe in the existence of God thought. Indian and Western tradition consist of both deistic and artistic philosophies. However, they do not have any conscience over the nature and the function of God. We look at the notion of God that creates a world by emulating the already existing fundamental element. Some philosophers think that God created the world from a void, a null. Nothing exists before God created the world. The world is wholly a divine creation. Human beings deem themselves a creator too, and in a limited sense they are. But this, their creation is merely a notable usage of that which already exists. They do not have the power to create that which does not exist. God has that power. It is specialty of philosophy to dig deep into every question in encounter. Everyone knows that the appearances are deceptive, but the philosophical journey which begins in this awareness takes us to the fundamental metaphysical question. What is? The question is not as brief as it seems. It accommodates many hidden questions such as how much is it, where it is, how it is interconnected. Every question spawns out new questions. Grasping with such questions is a healthier exercise for our intellect. It strengthens our mental faculty. You may have grasped that these equipment of the brain to face new challenge. There is a great intellectual joy in pursuing new questions, looking for answer. You are intellectual indeed, so readily immerse these challenges. So, in this chapter, we have seen about the theoretic and aesthetic philosophy. According to the philosopher, physical elements are not dynamic. They are moved by the external force. This external force is God, who is omnipotent and omniscient. According to this, powerful God is the creator of the world. He has made the world according to his free will. All the things in the world will exist as long as he wants, and will destroy when he wants. He is the creator and the gardener of the world. But all the stream of philosophy does not believe in this. Both Western and Indian philosopher has aesthetic and aesthetic philosophy. We look into the notion of God as a creator of world. According to some philosopher, God has made the world out of none and void. Nothing exists before God has created this world. The world is a divine creation of God. Even human being is created by God. He is the controller of human. Humans do not have any power to create. It is God who has all the power. The work of the philosophy is to go deep into every question. Since everyone knows all appearances are deceptive, but philosophy makes us aware about the fundamental metaphysics question, what is? It has many hidden questions such how much it is, where it is, how it is interconnected. Every question points to new question and find answer to such question is healthy exercise. It strengthens our mental faculty and occupies our brain to free new challenge. This is really enjoyable.